Store in colonial times serving the village, and the innkeeper would often tell travelers of a strange woman who came in one night. She was frail and gaunt and dirty, and she carried a little pitcher in her hand. And she approached the counter and she said one word. She said, "Milk." Yeah, well, the innkeeper went to the cellar and got the milk jug, and he filled the little pitcher and gave it to the woman. As he went to return the jug to the cellar, he looked and she was gone. Well, he went to the door and he looked out in the dark night, but he saw no one, nothing. Odd, he thought. Well, he shrugged it off until a few nights later, the very same woman appeared with her little pitcher. And she approached the counter and she said, "Milk." Well, this time he was smart. He took the pitcher and he went and got the milk jug and filled the pitcher, but he stood by the door. And as she took the pitcher, she went out without a word. Well, he grabbed his lantern and he followed her out into the misty night, and she went down the street and across the square into the graveyard next to the Presbyterian church. Well, he followed with his lantern and entered the graveyard, but he lost sight of her as she passed under the 300-year-old oak tree. Well, he searched the graveyard, but he saw no sign of the woman. But he came upon what appeared to be a fresh grave. Well, he was an elder of the church, and he knew there'd been no burials there for weeks. Yet here was a fresh grave with moist earth. And as he bent down to examine it, he thought he heard strange, muffled sounds. Well, he summoned the sexton of the church and sent him to bring all the elders to the graveyard. And there, in the hush of midnight, under lantern light, they decided to dig up the grave. Well, they dug and dug and dug until they came to a simple wooden coffin. And they cleared the soil, and as the innkeeper bent to open the lid of the coffin, he gasped, because there in the coffin was the woman from the store, dead, with the milk pitcher under one arm and a live baby under the other arm. Well, they were shocked. They were horrified. What to do? Well, they reached in and took the baby out of the grave and closed the lid and quickly covered over with soil and said prayers for the woman's soul. And that little baby became a ward of the families of the church, and they raised the child. But she grew to be a strange, lonely child. She was often found wandering through the village late at night, or by the graveyard, or even as far away as the great swamp. Well, this went on for about 10 years. And then all of a sudden, the child disappeared. Well, there was an exhaustive search, but they could find no trace of the child. But not many months passed before there began to be sightings of the child. The villagers would see her and they would approach, but she would seem to simply fade away. And those who got too close soon suffered illness and misfortune. So it became to be believed that the child was cursed. And after that, whenever they would see the child or hear her pitiful crying as she searched for her mother, they would scurry away. Now, I must warn you that these sightings of this child have continued to this very day, and she's been seen on this very land. So I warn you, if you encounter this restless spirit in your travels, Ignore her. Pay her no mind. Do not let her touch you, lest the curse fall on you. Now, as you continue your journey, I have one word of caution for you. Beware! The spirits tell me it's time for you to move along. Unfortunately, this is the only way out.